B'Shem Hashem. I would like to welcome everyone. I wasn't supposed to be the MC for tonight, but it couldn't show up, so I'll just say a few words and everyone will apologize. Number one, I would like to apologize for the unexpected heat. We tried our best, but we got stuck here with some broken air conditions, unfortunately. And also, it's part of our mission to warm up everyone. So maybe we'll penetrate a little. Number one, it's Shem. It's a special day for us. It's a day that we are partially celebrating also the Chanukas Habayis of the opening of the library. We were waiting, for a special event with a special Rabbi to come and to be mechanech our place. Our library was moved and it's relocated partially, and we added and we opened a new library here with the name of Heichel Baal Shem Tov. Our mission and the reason why we opened it is as we know, there was always the questions that were asking what the reason for Hasidus. What was the reason there's a need for Hasidus? In the time there was always Gemara and Talmud and everything, all Rishonim Achronim. And there's a few answers. I will just repeat two answers. Number one answer is, there's an answer that there was brought in the Hasidic Sfarim. One is that it was unfortunately after the time of Shabbat Tzvi, and Jewish souls were all weakened, they were all drained emotionally, and it was a very hard time then. So there was a need for a higher light and a higher Gilus should come down and light up again everyone. And that would be the reason that many of the Chavra Musar would say that the Baal Shem Tov, Reb Shlomo Wolbe always used to say in the name of his Rebbe, Rabbi Beruchem, that the Baal Shem Tov saved the Torah in Europe, and it's the light and the whole setup which saved and lit up Jewish souls. But there's also another answer, which is a deeper answer and a deeper concept, which Reb Pinchas Karitza said. Reb Pinchas Karitza said a beautiful parable about a person leaving his village at night, going into the forest. As deeper he goes into the forest, as darker it gets, the little light that was shining out of the windows from the village disappeared. And as he got in the middle of the forest, it's pitch dark. All of a sudden, as he continues walking, he sees a little light across, and as deeper and deeper it gets, the light is starting to shine brighter and brighter. The reason is, it's already the light from the village of across is starting already to light back. So it was the time that Yidden wore, the time of Talmud, the time Yidden wore Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash is a Rishon, Beis Hamikdash Hasheni. Jews were all, we had the Gilish China there, we had the Kodesh HaKadoshim, we had the Kabbanas, we had the Kohen Gadol doing the Avodah, and everyone was living a much higher life and much deeper concepts. As deeper Yidden got into the Galus, unfortunately, as darker it got, and people lost a lot of their light. As even if you take a glimpse sometimes, even in Rashi, you look in the Torah, Rosh Hashanah, in many places, there's all kind of shemis, kavanas to say Tefillah. And that was because people lived that life. It's a very interesting document that the Russian government gave out recently, a few years ago. It was actually what the Balatania had to answer on the Ole Hakirs, all these integrations that they had. And one of the questions was, what's the need for Arichas HaTefillah and everything? So he answers that in the old times, people always did it. As you see in the Gemara, Chasidim Rishonim Achas Kodesh HaTefillah, and so the concept was always there. The problem is, as deeper, and it was a Torah Shabbat that got over from one Talmud for the Rav to the Talmud and down. But as deeper we got into the Golis, we lost everything. But now, at the time from the Arizal and down, there's the Or of Mashiach is already starting to shine. And as closer we get to the Mashiach's times, as brighter it gets. In a way, the Nisyonis outside is stronger, but in a way we see today very interesting things. We can see people a minute being into the Memta Sharatim, and a minute afterwards we do the greatest mitzvah, because the souls are more awakened, and there's a different shine, and it's the light of Mashiach. So Baal Shem Tov met Mashiach and he asked him, and the answer was, the answer what Mashiach answered for Baal Shem Tov is, when you will spread, as more you will spread your light, as closer we are to the time of my revelation, of my coming here. So it's our mission that the Baal Shem Tov asked from all the Talmidim to go around and spread. It's our mission here to help spread the light here. And there's light around, but there's always there's always room for more light to go. Especially, and when you look at the concept, if you look at the continent of America, the continent of America, when it was discovered, it was always here. But the only difference is that it was discovered. Someone saw it and realized it and showed it. That's what the Baal Shem Tov did. There are many concepts that was already here, but he came and he showed it for us. And also, when you walk into a dark room, it's pitch dark, you don't see anything. You just open the light and all of a sudden everything looks beautiful. Just the light that's missing. When you add that light, everything is beautiful. And just one more marshal, what I'll give for that is, when you have a delicious soup, everything very seasoned properly, and it has all the ingredients it's needed. But if it's cold, has no time, has no geschmack, nobody will eat it. You add this little fire, that when the fire lights up, and that's what makes the big difference. So over here for us now, we are trying to spread the light, and we are trying to light up and help everyone. And therefore, it's our honor, number one, I would like to thank the Wasserman family, that the building was dedicated to the Nishmas of Ram Eliyahu and Moshe Tzagazik Kohen, who he himself was a Ish Tzibur, he was a Ish Chesed, and so there wasn't a better way to dedicate something that will spread out something for the Tzibur. And as we know, the Vart V'im Ha'am Yoim, that a person in a Neshama, that the Ramotcha Tzaddik said in the name of Baal Shem Tov, that a Neshama comes down 70 years just for doing a person a favor in Gashmis Kal V'chomer Beruchnius. And also I would like to thank everyone who helped out in donating the library. And there's one person that will not mention his name because he asked not to. One of his miles is Danivis. But I would just borrow the phrase what Rabbi Kiva said to the Rashbi, and Hashem should bless him with everything what he needs. There should be seen lots of machis. And at this moment, I will take the opportunity. I don't need to introduce the Rabbi here because everyone knows him, is famous enough. But I would like to especially thank him for taking the effort, albeit his busy schedule, albeit his being the person who transformed Woodmere. He have many families moving to Woodmere just to be close to the Rav. And there was lately, he added being the Mashgiach in Yitzchak Echanan. It was extremely busy, but he felt a special connection to this place. Chazal say, Kodesh Beteinu will be made, our witness will be our walls, will be our witness of what happened, what we did over there. There's 80% of the Svarim that are witnessing what Rav Wainberger used to spend tens of hours learning Basmad and all these Svarim. So, I would really like to thank in the name of the library for Rav Wainberger for taking the time out of his busy schedule and coming down here. And may Hashem help and bless him. It should be Moshe Michael, being Moshe V'holich, stronger and stronger. We are now in the week of Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni is the Mala was Yechidim, was a klal. Everyone had Pesach, but there's some Yechidim, some individuals who didn't have Pesach Sheni. They were asking for a Pesach. Rav Wainberger spent many times the life for all individuals. He created a whole community out of all the individuals that he helped and continues to help him. May Hashem help him, and I would like to thank him again.
Shkoyach Rabbi Tauber, and to all the Chaverim here, just to say the words Heichel Baal Shem Tov. Just saying those words is already adding a great amount to what's here in the community, which is a community that's flourishing, Baruch Hashem, the Torah, the Yerushalayim. And I have a tremendous hakaras hatov. I did spend many hours back in the library in Borough Park. It's very a shmita since it hasn't been functioning. And I felt a personal simcha that the time has come for it to be reopened. And Bez Hashem, it should be a place, talpiyos, where Jews will be able to come to be warmed by the light of Chassidus, by the light of Torah Baal Shem, to prepare for Pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Rabbi Talber, and any person who speaks about both Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Baal HaHilula, and the Baal Shem HaKadosh, the word light will be repeated over and over. It was. I didn't count, but I think Rabbi Talber spoke. It was at least a dozen times. And you know that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, is the B'tzini Kaddish himself, is called the Holy Light. A lamp, a light of holiness. The Baal Shem HaKadosh is the Or Shivas Yimei Bereishis, the light of the 7 days of creation. We're very used to hearing that word, Or, light. Yor Hashem ponav elecha v'chuneka v'ho'er einenu b'sarasecha. Our eyes should shine with the light of your Torah. B'orcheinu avinu kolonu b'or panecha ki v'or panecha nasata lanu. We wish each other, Jews see each other, Shabbos, Alechtige Shabbos. There's even an expression, we hope that a person should have Alechtige Gan Eden. Even after this world, it should be filled with light. His oiri, kiva oire, kumi oiri, the way we bring Shabbos in. And you know, there's a certain kind of a Jew that when he walks into a room, a lechtige mensch, the whole room lights up. So it's important to understand what this means. We talk about this all the time, we use these words all the time. It's important to understand what that means. When you see a beautiful child, and you say that a lechtige kind, we're not referring to the intelligence of the child. We're not even talking about how cute the child appears, how cute the child looks. When you say that, those words, a lechtige kind, a child that's shining, what you're saying in effect is, I want to be able to describe the child himself, the actual child. But I can't find the words to be able to describe who the child is, Etzem himself, the mohus of the child. And so it is with an adult as well. When you have a husband and a wife, I spoke about this a lot earlier in the year. When you have a husband and a wife, there's so many nakudas in the home. Over the years, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, they're married people here. And those in Mitzvah Shem who will be married. There's so many nakudas that bind these two people together. And the truth is that every single piece of furniture in the house, every curtain, every quilt, every sefer, every shelf, is infused with that particular couple that lives in the house, that shares that house. And over the years, their efforts to raise children, and the hashkafas, the discussions, the conversations that they've had. But if somebody were to ask you, is that the kesher? In other words, is the kesher the fact that they both agree that they enjoy reading a particular magazine? Is the kesher that they agreed upon a certain school for the children, that they share a certain hashkafa? Is that the aside of the kesher that binds them together? It's obvious and it's clear that that's not it. That's not it. There's a kesher between the husband and wife. And when you've been in a home, which is a lechtige home, a home that has that light, Every single morsel of food that the husband eats in the home is filled with the or of that ahava, of that devotion of the wife. They say that Reb Chaskel Levenstein, Zecher Tzaddik V'Kosh Levrocha, the great Mashgiach Reb Chaskel, he was an Ish Kodesh, and they say that Reb Chaskel once on Shabbos, that when he put the fish, Friday night, he put the fish into his mouth, he said that the Rebbetzin didn't make this fish. And it's true that the Rebbetzin had gotten busy with some things, and the women in the family had prepared the exact same recipe, and the Rebbetzin was overseeing the entire production, but it wasn't Ma'aseh Yedeh. She didn't make the fish. And they asked Reb Chaskel how he was able to know this, and Reb Chaskel said, it didn't have the time, the taste of my wife's, of the Rebbetzins' love. It didn't have the taste of the Rebbetzins' Kavod Shabbos. It didn't have that taste. That taste that we can't describe in words is called or. Somebody who's working in the house and prepares food. The food could be physically as delicious, and it has the same ingredients. Like Rabbi Tauber said, from the Tzemach Tzedek with the soup. Cold, warm. In a house where there's that kesher, in a house where there's that relationship between the husband and wife, alles is lechtig. Everything in the house is illuminated by that relationship between the husband and the wife. Everything. And everything in the house, even the tiniest little details in the house, everything emanates from the mahus, from the neshama. I want to share with you before we continue to explain what this means. It's hard for me to concentrate and shoulder with the I can't. Thank you. There's a beautiful poem. There's a beautiful poem by a woman in Yerushalayim in a book that she's written called Memo to Self, which I've shared this poem many times. The emes is that women appreciate this more than men, but the lechtige men who are here will appreciate this as well. It's called Concepts. What keeps you going? An unmarried friend once asked. I said something about the children, about doing it all for them. I see, she said. So it's the concept of children that gives you strength. I gave up trying to explain. The concept of children wouldn't inspire me to lift a finger. No, it's Edi's arms flung around my neck, the pull of Fegi's hair tangled on the comb, Nechami's soft cheek on mine, the baby's little form snug fitting in my arm. It's not the concept of children, but the solid reality of them that fills my days. There are people who live in homes where there's a concept of marriage. There are children who are in classrooms where there's a concept of chinuch. More and more people are talking about concepts. But as the poet says, it's not the concept of children. The woman who doesn't have children can't understand this. The same way that Michal Bashol couldn't understand David HaMelech. She couldn't understand what David HaMelech was doing by the Aron. She'd never had children. It's not the concept of children. It's not the concept of Yiddishkeit. There's something that's called the or, the light of a marriage, the light of a home, the light of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and the light of the Heilige Baal Shem. Let me explain. In the relationship between Kudsha B'richu and Knesset Yisrael, between Hashem and His people, everybody here knows that throughout Tanakh, and particularly in Shir Hashirim, that the marshal of that relationship, the deepest marshal, is a husband and wife. It's the deepest marshal. And you also know, and it's a Beferish Mishnah, in the Brisa and the Gemara, that there are certain malachas she'isha oisel abayla, that there are responsibilities that the wife has in the home to take care of certain malachas, things in the home, and of course the husband has his own responsibilities. And in the relationship between Hashem and his wife, Kutshebrichu and Knesset Yisrael, in that relationship of Ahavti Eschem, where the Baruch Shalom is committed to us in love, and V'ahavtis Hashem Lokecha, our commitment to Him. Still, that's not the entirety, it's not the essence of the Kesher. There's a Noam Elimelech in Parshas Yisrael. And we're preparing for Kabbalah Satira. And there the Rebbe Melech explains when it says in Pasuk, V'yidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ela leimer anochi Hashem Elokecha. So everybody knows that this pasuk is the pasuk that is introducing and bringing us into Kabbalah Satira. V'yidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ela leimer. Hashem spoke all of these words saying, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. So the Noam Elimelech explains that to be a Jew means that you are connected to Kol Hadvarim Ha'ela. And it's a lot. Kol Hadvarim Ha'ela, from Torah Shebachsav, Torah Sheba'al Peh, Medrash and Zohar, Torah, Shulchan Aruch, Bis Yosef, and so on. Kol Hadvarim Ha'ela, to be a Jew means that you have to listen to, and you have to listen for, and you have to obey. Kol Hadvarim Ha'ela. So V'yidaber Elokim is Kol Hadvarim Ha'ela Leimer. Hashem Yisborach gave us His Kol Hadvarim Ha'ela. But if that's all that you have, if that's your entire Yiddishkeit, is just how you put on tefillin in the morning, how you put on your talis, whether you're a Yotzei, the mitzvah of Kriyas Shema, whether you were ehrlich in business and conducted yourself according to Chashem Mishpat, all of that, of course, cannot ever be replaced. It's indispensable. But still, the Rebbe Melech explains that the Baruch Shalom said that if your entire Yiddishkeit is a Yiddishkeit of Eskol Hadvarim Ha'ela, but you're missing the Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. If you're not reading between the lines, that when the Baruch Shalom gave us the Torah, Chazal tell us He gave us Himself. And I've mentioned this many times over the years, how many times I've had conversations with husbands and wives. I'll describe to you how it goes. I would say be'erech between 90 and 100% of the time, closer to 100, that the wife and the husband come to talk to me, some inyan between them, and the husband is looking at my svarim in the office, and the wife is looking at me, and the husband's looking all around, or she stops and she looks at him a little bit, and he's looking all around. And then I will always begin with the husband, not because he has mishpat kedima, you'll see why. I begin and I ask the husband, no, Rabbi Yankel, why are you here? Rabbi Yankel, why did you come? So I said between 90 and 100, closer to 100. The husband will say, I don't know. Elisheva is unhappy. There's a problem. I don't know. Something's wrong. And at that point she's looking at him. She can't believe it. She says, you don't know why we're here. And then he'll say something, again there are variations, but something to the effect of, I'm a good husband, I believe I earn a good living, don't I? And she's sitting there. I take care of the tuitions, I spend time with the kids, I'm a good father. Is that not true? And she still is looking at him. And isn't it true that once in a while I get you some flowers? Isn't it true? What the wife can't believe is that sometimes it's the other way, but b'derech klal, it's like this. What the wife can't believe is she's saying, I appreciate Eskol Hadvarim Ha'ela. I thank you for Eskol Hadvarim Ha'ela. And there are no words to describe the gratitude I have for 30, 40 years of changing light bulbs. That's a big malacha also. And within an hour from the time the light goes out, you're right there on the ladder. Eskol Hadvarim Ha'ela. Moridik. Fantastic. But when I married you, there was something else I was looking for. Besides es kol hadvarim ha'ela. V'yidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ela, leimer anochi Hashem Elokecha. The Gemara says, Anochi is the Oisius, you all know. Ano nafshi ksavis yahavis. The Baruch Shalom said that when I gave you the Torah, I didn't only give you kol hadvarim ha'ela. I didn't only give you a book of laws, a book of rules. I gave you myself. That's the ha'erei neinu b'sarasecha. And the Baruch Shalom is saying to each and every one of us, you might be a person that you're connected to kol hadvarim ha'ela. You might be very good. There's a guy that I know that he told me that he went in Yerushalayim Rosh Hashanah, he heard, I think he said 8 or 9 tkiyas shofars. He was going around, he wanted to hear the Galicianas, the Taimanas, he wanted to hear how the Syrians blow. He went to all the different kehilas from the Chassidim. He wanted to make sure that he was Yotzei l'chol hadayis, he was Yotzei tkiyas shofar. So he heard this kol hadvarim ha'ela. He heard the big noise of the shofar. That's a choshev thing. But I wanted to ask him, did you hear Anochi Hashem Elokecha? In all of the sounds that you heard, did you hear Ki ba'or panecha nesata? Did you hear Ki ba'or panecha nesata lo Hashem Elokeinu Torah chaim v'ahavas chesed? There's a Murdik Torah from one of the tzaddikim who's not as well known, but is becoming more and more known. He's a Frierdik, an earlier tzaddik. The Ramchal Zeichet Tzaddik V'Kadosh L'Vracha had a big Talmud, Rabbi Moshe David Valley. He has Svarim in the whole Tanakh. And Likutim, you can buy in the Svarim, the Svarim, half a diggest Svarim. And all of Tanakh, big set of Svarim. They've been coming out for the past 25 years or so. And he has an Amay, so he has in the Pasuk, Le'irav lo'lechem v'leitzom l'mayim. The time will come when there won't be a hunger for bread and there won't be a thirst for water. Kim l'shmai is divrei Hashem. But to hear divrei Hashem. So Rabbi Moshe David Valley asks, Le'irav lo'lechem v'leitzom l'mayim. It's a strange thing. There won't be a hunger for bread and a thirst for water. He says, Why should there be a hunger? This is, of course, a mashal for Torah, the bread and the water. Why would there be a hunger for bread and a thirst for water? Since before Mashiach comes, there are Sfarim Ein Kates. Look where we're sitting. I'm not that old, but when I became Bar Mitzvah, if you went in the Sfarim store, there were a couple of Sfarim. You remember, the people who were over 40 remember. There was some Sfarim, a lot of repeats. A lot of repeats. There's no shortage of Sfarim, there's no shortage of Shiurim. I'm sure that on the Flatbush schedule there must be tonight a dozen Shiurim. There's a Talmud Chacham I was told to giving a Shiur here next door. They're all over the place. Baruch Hashem, there was never so much Torah. So Moshe David says, there won't be a hunger for bread and a thirst for water. He says the world is going to be filled with Torah before Mashiach comes. Be filled with Svarim. Whoever wants to learn. Now, with the technology, people tell me they heard the shiur that I gave. I didn't even see all the time. I don't know who taped it, where they taped it. If somebody, I met somebody recently, he says to me, Rabbi. I says, Rabbi, I'm sorry, I don't remember, who are you? He says, I never met you. I said, where do you live? He tells me he lives in Sydney, Australia. I said, I had an aunt in Sydney, Australia, what are you doing there? He said, no, I listened to Shiurim Keseder. I've listened to thousands of Shiurim, Rabbi. I'm so excited to meet you in person. And we give each other a hug, and I said, we should be zeicher to learn Torah together in Yerushalayim. If there's a shortage of Torah, that it has to say in Pasuk, Le'irav lo'lechem v'leitzom l'mayim. Svarim harbe ein kates. All the Torah you want. Torah all the time. I'm sure there are websites, all Torah all the time, every minute, every second you can get Torah. 24 hours. If it wouldn't say this in the writings of the tzaddik, I would be afraid to say these words. He's a kadman. He said in this forum there's a lot of chattering. Pitumei milan. But the emes, which is divrei Hashem, the anoich Hashem elokecha, the marriage, the smile, the or, the lechtigkeit, the anoichi, ano nafshi ksovis Yehovah's, va'emes shu nikra mamish divrei Hashem, hinei ma'at mize'er b'kol sefer v'sefer, ma'at mize'er b'kol sefer v'sefer. Only a little bit in every sefer. V'zeu atam she'Yisrael shem zera emes. And Jews are zera emes. Jews are looking for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You hear these words? They don't find the kares ruach. I can't explain in English what it means, a kares ruach. It's the or. They don't find that in most of this farm that they're looking at. And there's a lot of machloikis in this farm. And there's much truth that's missing from this farm. When they have klipa say temes shleiniche lava oires ha'emes beishli tasa v'zeu shagorim loy rav l'lechem loy tzom l'mayim. There won't be a hunger for bread and a thirst for. There won't be any lack of Torah before Mashiach comes. El rav v'tzom l'shmoy es divrei Hashem shu soida ha'emes mamash. There's going to be a hunger and a thirst for divrei Hashem, and those people in the world now, they should live and be well, are still saying shmuzen that they took their notes in 1958, which made a roshim on them when they were in high school, and they think it's gonna carry the day now and bring the kids over before Mashiach comes, or the adults, and they're shocked. There must be something wrong with the audience. How come they're not hearing? When I heard this shmuz in 1958, it made a big difference to me. Lo rav l'lechem l'tzam l'man kim l'shmoyes divrei Hashem, we're getting closer to the Mashiach. There's a whole Torah from the Rabbi Pinchas Karetz we don't have time to go into as we get closer to the Mashiach. The aura of Mashiach, Oirei Shel Mashiach, is already shining in this world, and everybody's looking for Oirei Shel Mashiach. That's why this place is going to be an unbelievable, powerful magnet. You'll see. Oirei Shel Mashiach. And this is the meaning, Rabbi Yisai, of Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai Masar Yeshua. So we think that must have been a great shiur. Or if we could have been at that shiur, if the shiur would have been on the websites and all of the tapes, right? If there would have been a tape of Maimon Har Sinai. Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai Masar Yeshua. Can you imagine? There'd be a live hookup to Har Sinai. And Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai Masar Yeshua. Now I explained many times that the Indian of Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai Masar Yeshua, the tzaddikim explain, that's not describing the actual curriculum that was taught, because we have a Bryce and Erevin, which is Ketzah Seder Mishnah, that tells us how the Torah was taught. All the way, it was chazed over 4 times, Moshe, Aaron, the sons, the Zekanim, and so on. There's a Seder Mishnah. That's the curriculum of Yiddishkeit. All of the Sfarim, all of the books, the smartboards, the blackboards, that's the curriculum of Yiddishkeit. That's Kol Advar Me'ela. But Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai Masar Yeshua means that Moshe Rabbeinu gave over the or, the light of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, to each and every Jew on that day at Har Sinai. And that's why, if we go back in time, and I saw this explanation from an Adam Gadol, a big mashpin, it's a Sarah of Kluger, so gesund sein, and I had the schus to discuss this with him in person, that if we go back in time, we're trying to understand, where did the Baal Shem come from? Where did the or of the Baal Shem, where did the or of Chassidus, the or of the Ariya Kodesh, the or of Rabbi Shimon, because it's one hemshech, where did it come from? So if we go back in time to the beginning, to that Anochi Hashem Elokecha, there was a time when we didn't have a nusach of how to make a bracha. There was a time before there were hilchas brachas, before there's a Masechta brachas, before there's a matbeya shetovu chachamim of how do we say the bracha. And in those days, a Jew spoke to Borei Olam, to the creator of the world, in his own words. And he poured his heart out saying, Rabbi Shem, I want to thank you for this, for this, for that. And when the Torah says, V'achalta v'savato v'irachta v'Hashem lokecha, again, we spent a lot of time in the shul. We were learning the Sefer HaMitzvahs, the mitzvah of Birchas Hamazon, and to understand when did that nusach and how did the nusach, Moshe and Yeshua, which bracha of Birchas Hamazon, how and when. It's interesting, but it's history. But at the beginning, when a Jew spoke to the Baal, he spoke in his own words. When the Rambam tells us at the beginning of Tefillah, the whole Shtalshlus of Tefillah, of how it came to be that we have a Siddur. There was no nusach kavur. When it came to Kabbalah Shabbos, how old is the whole Kabbalah Shabbos? What we say, our Kabbalah Shabbos really comes from the Ariyah Kodesh. I'm not talking about Mar, I'm talking about Kabbalah Shabbos. Kabbalah Shabbos is a baby. It's new. The Seder of Kabbalah Shabbos. Means there was a time where a Jew would say, oh, Rabbi Shalom, Shabbos. And each person in his own way, with the that he was feeling welling up within himself, with the menuchas hanefesh that he found in his own life, and he was mischaber to the of Shabbos, so he would be makabel Shabbos. The Goyen says that we can't be masig what a simple Jew was like in the time of the first Beis Hamikdash, a poshet yid, a simple Jew in the time of the first Beis Hamikdash. The Gross says we b'chlal can't be masig the madrega of what a simple Jew was like in those days when there was nevuah, when prophecy was on the rampage, when there was nevuah, when Eretz Yisrael was infiltrated by nevias. We can't be masig such an or. The Jews had even a poshet yid that wasn't saying nevias. But what was the or that was there at that time? And then the Churban happened. And the Churban is Machashakim Ha'yeshiva Kimei Seyoylum, like the Navi says that we were placed into darkness. And then Nevuah stopped, Nevuah ended. There were only little Shirayim, a little Sapichim that were left of the Nevuah, but the Nevuah really ended for the most part. And the Mitzias of Hashem, that presence, that or, the Lechtekait of Anochi Hashem Lakecha became hidden. And Jews became immersed for the most part in what? In the world of Es Kol Advarim Ha'ela. And Yiddishkeit changed, the whole Tzuras Hapanim of Yiddishkeit changed. You know, everybody here knows that when it came time, we hear it's a Shtigla Chanukas Abayis, but everybody knows when it came time for the second Beis Hamikdash, for the Chanukas Abayis, it says in Pasuk that everybody was screaming, everybody was singing. There was such a simcha by the Chanukas Habayis, by second Beis Hamikdash, but there were old Jews there that remembered first Beis Hamikdash. And you remember the Novi's, it says in Pasuk that what Beis Nechem, it says that the old Jews, because they remembered. They were already in their 80s, a 90-year-old Jew remembered the first Beis Hamikdash. And it says they were crying so loud that the crying of the old Jews who remembered what it was like in the first Beis Hamikdash drowned out the joy and the singing and the cheering of the young generation of second Beis Hamikdash. Because the Jews who remember the first Beis Hamikdash, when there was Nevuah, when there's Nur V'Tumim, when there was that of the Luchas of Ma'aseh Elokim, Michtav Elokim, that of Michtav Elokim, of the Shem Hashem that was engraved in the Luchas and the Oisias, there were parachais that were flying. Those Oisias were engraved in the hearts of every single Jew that was there by first Beis Hamikdash, that they lived in those days by first Beis Hamikdash, that they couldn't stop crying when they saw the second Beis Hamikdash. But over here in the neighborhood, if they open up a new Shomer Shabbos sushi place, they're already being rebbes to put on a mezuzah, and it's a gewaldige ganze simcha for the whole neighborhood. Now you can fresh on more sushi. Not that I had anything against it. I never ate a piece in my life. I don't intend on having it in my life. But this is already a big simcha, and everybody's crying with tears. Oh, is this beautiful? Look what it's come to, that we have Shomer Shabbos sushi places. Boy, Yiddishkeit is so much better than it was in the 50s. Wow. Wow. This is progress for Yiddishkeit. And I'm not Chalila, and I don't mean anything to anybody here that's Isaac in these things. I don't mean anything bad, God forbid. But the point is that when the Anshe Knesset Gedolah began to formulate a nusach, even though it's terrific, and the Rambam describes how this happened, everybody that has a little bit of a feeling for the aura of the Rebbeinu Shalom knows it was a terrible Yerida. It was a terrible Yerida that we can't speak in our own words anymore. And since there was a little bit left over of Nevi'us at that time, so some of the aura of Nevuah was still infused into the words. Therefore, we don't know what these words, we'd say these words. Ashrei is from Tillim, and the other Kiprilach, and then the Nusach that we have from the Tzaddikim, from Anshe Knesset Gadol, we say the brachas, and we believe that the words contain tremendous amount of light that is still left over Shirayim from first base HaMikdash that come all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu, who gave it over to Yeshua and so on to the Anshe Knesset Gadol. And it began, the Tkuf of Second Beis HaMikdash began the Hanhoga of Nevuah, of Torah Sheba'al Peh, of Chochmas HaTorah, of the Chachamim. And this was very hard for Am Yisrael to get used to, because the Iker now became Havana Sichlis. It became the Iker of Yiddishkeit. It was always crucial to understand. When Am Chacham V'Navain, and even from the beginning, to learn Torah and to steig in learning and to understand the piece of Torah. But it was the Kol HaDvar Me'ela together with the Anochi Hashem Elokecha. But what happened during the second Beis HaMikdash, that Kufa of the Chachamim of Torah Sheba'al Peh began, where we see that even though Chazal were pushing and trying, and they gave over so much of themselves, and they taught us to believe that in the Choshech of Golus, there still is that awe of the Borei Olam and the love of that marriage. And then there was Chanukah, and the Golus of Yavin is Choshech al Pnei Time. Everybody knows that's darkness. And Chazal say, Hechshichu Eineim Shel Yisrael, that the Greeks didn't come to destroy Torah. The Greeks said you could study Torah, you could steig in Torah, you could write Svarim. As Kol HaDvar Me'ela, the Greeks were not against as Kol HaDvar Me'ela. They appreciated Fakir, they appreciated the Seichel of Torah. They appreciated the person should be able to steig in learning, and they should be able to be brilliant, to be a genius in learning. It didn't bother the Greeks at all. But they wanted the Kisel al Karen Asher Shein Lechem Chelik what? Belokei Yisrael. That a Jew should sit and learn all day, and learn and learn and learn. As Kol HaDvar Me'ela, Nishkan Shum Shaychis to the Borei Olam. There's no Anochi Hashem Elokecha. There's Bechlal no Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Or very little of a feeling of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. We're living in a time where people can be in a minion. Where they're coming to what? Because they didn't, and even though it says, and it's not clear what is the nature of this din of Tefillah B'Tzibur. When you look at Shulchan Aruch, it's a hishtadlus to be mispal, but it's a big thing. But you'll see that people are walking around with the iPhones and the smartphones inside and out, in the pocket, touching it, taking it, put it back in, all these things. So we come back to the husband and wife who are sitting in my office. Could you imagine if he's standing under the chuppah, and the two of them under the chuppah, and he's about to say Harem Kodeshesli. He's standing with the tabaz, with the ring, and he's about to say Harem Kodeshesli, and goes ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And he says to the kala, I'm in it. Yes, right? It's crazy, but the Rebbe is also Chassan Kala. But this hergish of the awe of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this feeling became dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. The Chashmonaim, the Indian of Chanukah was to somehow to try to regain that awe, to come back to that awe. But now we move ahead. Now listen carefully, because I only left a few minutes for the end. But there's the side of where everything is leading to, and these are the days that we're in right now. And there's the simcha of opening up this place that we're in, the Heichel Baal Shem. During these dark years, since the Churban Bayis, and during these long years of Golus, because of the Baruch Shalom's love for us, he sent into the world big lechtig and neshamas. He sent into the world Adonenu Bar Yochai, Rabbi Shimon, the Butzina Kadisha, the Holy Light. And Rabbi Shimon was given Rishus from Shemayim, especially the last day of his life. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was given Rishus to be Megala, to reveal the Or of Pnimius HaTorah, the inner light of Torah. And during those dark years in the cave, the Or of Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Elazar, the Or of the Zohar Kodesh was beginning to pulsate, to shine. to be Megala once again, the Elokus, that godliness that's between the lines, the Elokus of the time of Nevuah, the Elokus that's a hemshech of that beginning. If you look into Piasetznes Svarim, especially Achsharas HaAvrechim, the whole Sefer Achsharas HaAvrechim, which I'm sure there's a copy or two over here, the whole Sefer Achsharas HaAvrechim from the Hilke Piasetzne, Hashem Yid Kaim Domav, the whole Sefer Achsharas HaAvrechim is on this Nakuda, that the Inyan of Chasidus, the Hemshech of Nevuah, and the Iris of Nevuah, and the light of Nevuah. The Hagonus of the light of creation was allowed once again into the world. But still, after Rabbi Shimon, you know, that that light of Anochi Hashem Lakecha was still kept within a very small group of Talmidim of Tzaddikim. And Akash Baruch Hu sent into the world the neshama of the Heilig Ari, of the Ari HaKadosh. And the Ari HaKadosh was given reshus to be Megala more Seidus HaTorah, and to explain more and more the Torah of the Torah of Rabbi Shimon. But still, everybody knows that the Lashon of the Arizal is very, very hard. And the Mishalim that the Arizal uses are Mishalim that are beyond the comprehension of most people, even those who are learned people. The way of the Ari HaKodesh and the teachings of the Arizal are very, very hard. And therefore most people still felt that they were outside, that they couldn't come into that place of the marriage, of the Or of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And then Beroi Rachma v'Chasodav. The Rebbeinu Shalom sent into the world in the Shem of the 7 days of creation, the light, the Agonas of the 7 days of creation, the light of Rabbeinu Baal Shem Tov. And Nishmas Baal Shem Tov came to this world, and the Neshama that entered into that holy guf of the Baal Shem was sent there for the purpose of being Megala, the Or of Elokus, to the Hamoinei Beis Yisrael, V'hu Echelo Yishiyas Yisrael. And he began to prepare the Jewish people for Bias HaMashiach by revealing Irish HaMashiach in such a way that when a Jew comes to Shabbos, he's able to taste in the gefilte fish, the Or. That when a Jew says, L'cha doidi l'kvas kala, he's able to taste the Anochi Hashem Elokecha. That the Nefesh HaKoisev is b'michtav. That the soul of the one who loves is saturated in the Torah that he's given us, and to be able to connect to that Or, to that light. Like in the home where the husband is able to taste the heart of his wife in every piece of food that he's eating. In the way the house is decorated. He's able to taste the taste of that ahava, of that love. Not just a person who's a lamdan, who's a goyin, who's a makubal. So that each and every Jew, no matter who it is, an adult, a child, a man, a woman, regardless of who it is, the hafotzes hamayonis of the Baal Shem is the Orei Shel Mashiach, that every single Jew will be able to return to that way that Yiddishkeit originally was, where every single Jew would be able to mamish experience the Orei, the Or of Elokus, the Or of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Anochi Hashem Elokecha that fills every single pasuk, every single word as Kol HaDvarim Ha'ela. So we'll be able to live in the intensity of Steigin, Torah Shebal Peh, and Torah Shebechsav. But to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the Kuznetz Magid says by Pesach Sheni, Kedah be'ishal re'ehu, that when a Jew says, Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu Melech Ha'olam, when he says the words, Baruch Ato Hashem, it's Kedah be'ishal re'ehu. That you should feel that you're speaking to your best friend, to someone that you love, to someone that you know personally. Kedah be'ishal re'ehu. Look in Kuznetz Magid Pesach Sheni. I'm a Rabbi Akiva, Ashreichem Yisrael. Lifnei mi'atem etami mitahar eschem. Avichem shebeshamayim. V'oim mikvi Yisrael Hashem. The Gemara in Yevom is Kuf Chaf Aleph says, Tan Yom Rabbi Gamliel. Hamacha se'isim ahalach b'svina. Rabbi Gamliel says, I was going on a boat. V'isi svina achas shenishbra. And I saw another boat that was smashed. That was that was sinking. And I had terrible anguish over the Talmud Chacham that was on that boat that was sinking. Umanu, who was he? Rabbi Akiva, the Rebbe of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Who, according to the Chidor, it was Lag Boim when he gave smicha. Ukshalisi liabasha, when Rabbi Gamliel reached dry land, Bo v'Yoshev, he says that Rabbi Akiva survived the shipwreck, and Bo v'Yoshev v'don lefane b'halacha, and he came to talk to me in learning. So Rabbi Gamliel says Rabbi Akiva came to talk to me in learning. I asked him, my son, mi he'elucha, how did you survive? How did the Jewish people survive all these years of Galus? That's the question. How did you survive the shipwreck? You know we're all shipwrecked Jews. How did you survive the shipwreck? Amali, Rabbi Akiva said to Rabbi Gamliel, Dav shel svinin is damnali, a piece of a dav shel svina, a piece of a boat, of the boat. I grabbed a piece of the boat. Dav shel svinin is damnali, the kol gal v'gal shabolai nenesi layoshi, and every wave that came upon me, I motioned with I leaned my head, and I was able to hold on to that dav shel svina. Kol gal v'gal, every single wave that came upon me, I was able to rise above. I was able to ride the waves through Galus. So the tzaddikim say that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is the oimek of the Torah of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva gave over to Rabbi Shimon the Seder Satorah. That's the Ishtalshelus, the Seder of the Ishtalshelus of the Messiah of Torah Shabal Peh V'Anochi Hashem Lakecha through Rabbi Akiva to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And Rabbi Akiva means Ikvus of the Mashiach. It means the Eik of the end of time. And Mechal Gal V'Gal means Gal is Lag B'Omer. Gal is Lamed Gimel, the wave. And Rabbi Akiva is the one, as you know, who lived through such suffering, kites for kites, Tilim Shel Halachis, the Gemara Menachis, every single thorn that pierced his body, every single moment of suffering, of misery that he went through, he grew and he became stronger and stronger. What was the Eitzah? What kept Rabbi Akiva going? What keeps us going during this time of Akiva, of Ikvus of the Mashiach? Ashreichem Yisrael, Lifnei Miatim Etarmi Mataris Eschem. Avichem Shul Shemayim, Dav Shel Svina. Svina is a loshon of Svuna. Rabbi Nachman says in Likutei Moharan, Svuna, the boat, the stories of Rabbi Bar Bar Chon, we don't have time. But Rabbi Nachman explains that Svina is a loshon of Svuna. Svuna means that which is hidden. Sefuna means Pnimius, it means Pnimius HaTorah, that which is hidden, that which is concealed. So Rabbi Akiva said, you want to know how to survive, Kol Gal V'Gal. I held on to the Dav Shel Svina. I held on to that piece of what? Of the hidden Torah of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, meaning the hidden Torah of Pnimis HaTorah, the Or of Anochi Hashem Elokecha that kept me going. And Kol Gal V'Gal Nanesim B'Rosh means every single Lag Boimer, the Sram say, more of the light of Rabbi Shimon comes into the world. It's amazing, a Lag Boimer became now a much bigger yontif than it used to be when I was a kid. Who even knew there was Lag Boimer? You just knew. Oh, somebody gave a clap, no tachna. That was it. And everybody said, what's that sound? Lag Boimer, oh, Lag Boimer. Sorry. What was like in Eretz Yisrael? There wasn't any, but in the Chutz La'aretz, it's Lag Boimer. What do we have a Lag Boimer? Every year more light. It's unbelievable as we get closer to Mashiach, to Eresh Mashiach. Every single year, Lag Boimer, the Shefa, the Or is stronger and stronger. V'Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And every year we feel a stronger kesher to the light of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai B'Kodesh HaKadoshim, and that side of what it means to be a Jew, to be a Yid. I'll tell you a story that I've told many, many times. The Chaverim who know me, that know this story well, and Mistami you've seen in other places. It's a Mordek Maise. It's a Maise from Tut Tzadikim. Reb Mendel Vorke and the Triska Magid. Mendel Vorke. The Triska Magid, they were the dearest friends when they were children. And then the time came that they had to separate, because each one was going to start something. And at the beginning there was a forest, a big forest that was between them. And they made a heskim between them, an agreement, that every Erev Shabbos they would send a letter one to the other. And it meant somebody had to take a job to walk through this forest. It's a hard thing in those days. And to deliver a letter from one tzaddik to the other. And there was a Yid who had the schus over there. By Mendel Vork, there was a Yid who had the schus, and he was the mailman. And he was going for many, many years, whatever it was, 15, 16, 17 years, every Erev Shabbos, rain, snow, whatever. He was going with the letter from Mendel Vorker, would write a letter, give him an envelope, and he would go through the forest. It was a whole thing until he would get Erev Shabbos. He'd give it to Triska Magid. He would wait. Triska Magid would write a letter. He'd wait and give it to the Yid, and the mailman would go back through the forest and get back in time for Shabbos and so on. Spent the whole day with this Indian. So one time, he had a Yetzer Hara. He's doing this for many years. He had a Yetzer Hara. It's not something which is good and it's not allowed, but he wanted to see what the tzaddik, what Mendel Vork is writing to Triska Magid. You know, he's doing it for such a long time. He felt he has a little bit a right to take a look to see what they're writing to each other. So you're not allowed to, but he opened up the envelope and takes out the piece of paper, and it's a blank piece of paper, completely blank. You can imagine what a chalish zedas he had. This is what I'm doing every Friday for all these years, that I'm going to take pieces of paper. But he couldn't say anything. He was terribly hurt. He gets to Triska Magid, and Triska Magid is waiting for him by the door. Oh, Baruch Hashem, you here? Your uncle, come in. Comes in, gives him the paper. He doesn't say anything, and the Triska Magid's in the room for a while. He's all emotional. Triska Magid comes out, and he gives him an envelope, and he says, take this, and go gesundheit, and the Get Shabbos, go to Mendel Vorker. Now he couldn't barely wait till he went a few amas out of the house. He tears this. He wants to see what's going on with it. How do you write back to such a letter? He opens up this letter, blank. There's no this kind of a business. They're playing a game with him. Such a thing to do this so many years, running around like this. So he comes back to Mendel Vork, and he comes in to Mendel Vork, and he gives him Mendel Vork a letter. Get Shabbos. He's very upset. He didn't even daven by the Rabbi that Shabbos. He was so upset. He was very hurt. And the Rebbe knew that something was going on, and the Rebbe sent for him after Shabbos. The Yid comes after Shabbos, and Mendel Vorker says, no, come on, something's bothering you. I see you're upset. He says, the emes Rebbe, you don't know why I'm upset? Why are you upset? He knows. Why are you upset? I'm upset because I did something I shouldn't have done. Please be marich on me. I looked at the Rebbe's letter. And the Rebbe said, yeah, and what did you see? He said, what did I see? The Rebbe knows what I saw. I saw nothing. It was a blank letter. But you delivered the letter. He said, I delivered the letter. And not only that, I delivered it, and I tell you another thing. I did another Aveir, because I looked at Triska Magid's letter, and he's got the same handwriting that you got. Garnished. Nothing. And that's why I didn't come to daven. I'm finished. I don't understand this. I'm doing this all the years with the Mesiras Nefesh. What kind of thing is this? So Mendel Vorker said, listen to me. I'm sorry, but I want to explain to you something. You know that the Torah is given the oisius shchayres, you know that there's black letters on the parchment, on the clef, there's black letters. And that's the color of Ma'ila, those are the words that we read. But the deepest Torahs, that's the white parchment, that's in between the letters. That's an Oich Hashem Elokecha. Usually I did send letters with oisius, with the black letters. Most of the time we do send those letters. But there's certain times the longing is so great for my friend, it's so unbearable that we don't have the oisius, we don't have those letters, the black letters, and we could only send the white letters. We can't send the black letters. Whenever I tell this story, I mention that there's a Talmud of mine we learned together many years, and in those days when people before emails, so he went to learn in Brisk in Yerushalayim, and I was waiting to receive for a long time to hear from him, to get a letter. I didn't get a letter. Finally, after like 2 months, I get a letter from him. I opened it up, it was blank. He knew the story. He just said on the bottom, he just wrote B'Ahava. B'Ahava. Hashem's Baruch should help. I think you will understand. I'm trying to explain something that can't be explained. And I took a lot of your time to try to explain something that can't be explained. But I believe that that's the purpose of this place. There are a lot of black oisius here, there are a lot of letters, there's a lot of pages. But the tachlis of the Or of Rabbi Shimon, the tachlis of the Or of Baal Shem, is to be able to see the white in between the letters. Hashem's Baruch should help that we should be zeichet to drink these waters with great thirst. Le'irav lo'lechem v'lo'yitzam l'mayim ki'im l'shmoyes divrei Hashem. We should be zeichet Mr. Hashem to hear divrei Hashem from Mashiach Tzidkeinu with the Gula Hashem v'amitis from Hem Yameinu Amen v'Amen.
I'd like to thank again the Rav. We have no words to thank again. And I would like to welcome the Wasserman family. They weren't here when they had to do them first. I would like to thank them for all the support they gave, and they helped building up the library, dedicated the building. And Shabil Nishmis, Avram Eliyahu, and Moshe Tzakazik. And also would like to welcome one of the Chava and all of the Heichel, Reb Shlomo Drimmer. And I would like to ask everyone to take a minute just to fill out the form, which entitles you to a 5% discount the whole year around. It will help us to know exactly what the Olim needs, fill out all the information. Someone doesn't want to fill out his personal information, it's fine, just fill out whatever, all the rest of the blanks. And also self-understood, to operate this library is an expense, it's not an income, so we always welcome donations and almost new books also. And everyone could enjoy the refreshments outside. And again, I apologize for the heat. We'll try our best next time. Thank you.